good ATV on the homestead might be more important than any other tool, especially our homestead, because we have a hillside property. I needed something that was going to be dependable. It was going to be beefy enough to get me where I have to go on our property. Now, I built my old Ford truck to kind of get me out of any situation I get into. And I initially bought an old Suzuki King quad. I think it was like a 325 or something like that. And it just wasn't enough. It didn't have enough power. It was four-wheel drive. It just wasn't beefy enough. I picked up this 1999 Polaris Sportsman 500 last year. I bought it sight unseen. That was probably a mistake. I was told that it needed a carburetor, needed carburetor work, and it had a thermostat issue. Once I got it and I started going through it, it had a lot more issues than that, and which is somewhat understandable with an older four-wheeler. But again, if I had seen it, I would have had the option to maybe negotiate with it. When I first got this thing, you could literally pick the whole A-arms up and they just flopped around because the bushings here were shot. They were gone. So there's only two major bushings on the front. Instead of putting rubber bushings back into it, I actually put a poly, kind of a nylon type bushing in there, which is supposed to last a lot longer. Same thing with the rear. The rear has a lot more moving parts. It's a little dirty right now because my son's been out playing on it. You can see, again, all of these A-arm bushings were gone. There was literally nothing even in there, so it was metal on metal. I spent about $100 on all those bushings. Even the shock bushings were shot. So I replaced every moving part. The CV boots were torn and exposed to the dirt. Pulled the CV axles off, actually cleaned them out, repacked them, put new CV boots on it. The radiator fill neck was ruined and it was not sealing. That was part of the issue. It doesn't charge the battery. Didn't charge the battery. It runs the battery down. The charging issue is probably the biggest issue. I'm trying to determine if the stator's bad, and I'm pretty sure it's bad. I reached out to RM Stator and quickly solved all of my problems. I was on the phone with their engineer and he kind of talked me through some stuff. And now that I have all my parts here, when I get this changed out. So using the flywheel puller that I got from RMS Stator, it popped right off. The old stator came right off. I can see a few things I don't like, a couple of wires I don't like about the old stator. Might have been part of the issue. New one went right in, no issues. I actually cut the old harness right at the stator, and I intend on following it with a new line and then buttoning everything back up, and hopefully this solves my charging problem. With the weather changing as warm as it's getting, I want to have this thing up at the property ready to go. I want to have every issue resolved. If my wife wants to throw the kids on it and go for a ride, I don't want to have to worry if she's going to make it back. And before, I most definitely didn't even trust myself riding it around. So I'm going to pull the stator apart and get the new RM stator installed. I've got a new CDI box from RM Stator. I've also got a new regulator, which is basically the last of the electronic issues. Then the last thing that I'll do is at some point down the road, I'll slap a winch on it. And that will just be the kind of like my truck. That's the worst case scenario. If I get stuck, I can get out. Okay, I'm as done as I'm gonna get for now. I need to take it out for a shakedown run just to make sure everything's tight and good. I have done the brakes, done the rear CV boots, done all the bushings in the A-arms, replaced the thermostat, flushed the radiator, replaced the carburetor. I'm forgetting things. Bled the rear brake caliper until I could get it flushed out properly. That was basically locked up. definitely runs better. So far, the overheating indicator has not kicked on. The indicator light has not come on. I think it's finally like good to go. Hopefully, you guys can just ride this and we can use it up at the property and it doesn't end up being any sort of a issue. I mean, I replaced every possible thing on it I could replace. So I basically replaced everything electrical that needed to be replaced after going to rmstator.com and seeing that the CDI box, they make a better CDI box, they make a better flywheel, a better stator, all of that stuff. And so I kind of went down the list with what they had to offer. The installation process was super easy. They actually have instructional videos both on our YouTube channel and on their website. And then the last thing that I did was I put a set of the ITP Mudlight 2s on it. And so I should hopefully have turned a $500 four-wheeler into about a $3,000 four-wheeler. But more than anything, I hope that I don't have to mess with this for a long time. I hope that my wife and kids can use this thing. I hope that I can use it. We're going to be doing a lot of fencing this summer up there, and this is exactly what I'm going to need to get all that done.